1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors. Welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am your host, Precious D.
And I am another one of your hosts, Sonny B.
We are two best friends making our way through the history of kaiju movies. We started in 1933 with King Kong. And now here we are in 2023, the 90th anniversary of the release of King Kong, looking at the 1976 remake of King Kong.
Yay! A remake now that movies are getting good.
This was directed by John Gillerman.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith.
Sure. From a screenplay by Lorenzo Semple Jr., produced by Dino De Laurentiis. It is 134 minutes.
Oh, God, that's a long movie.
Cost $24 million and made $90.6 million.
Yowza!
The cast
The cast.
is Jeff Bridges.
I feel like I know Jeff Bridges, right?
Yes.
Like, I know the name. Right?
Tron. Related to Beau Bridges, and his father is Lloyd Bridges.
He's spicy.
He plays Jack Prescott. Okay, so this is a remake, but nobody has the same name. Mm-hmm. Even Jack has a different last name.
Yeah.
Nobody else has even close to that.
Which I thought was a good thing.
You think?
Yeah.
I found it weird.
I thought it was good because it's a remake, but they probably know how bad the first movie was, so they're like,
It's a
we
classic.
gotta make it better. Yeah, it's
a
a classic, but they're like, we gotta shape up these characters a little bit.
I just saw no need, because some of them are very clearly the same damn character.
Mm-hmm.
They just gave him a different name for no reason I could tell. Charles Grodin as Fred S. Wilson. He is very much the Carl Denham character.
Oh, Mr. Wilson.
Jessica Lange in her first film appearance as Dwan.
Dwan. For fuck's sake, that really bothered
As
me.
not Ann Darrow, as Dwan. It's implied she's a wannabe actress. And it's implied that she changed it, that it was Dawn, and she changed it to Dwan. We never find out her last name.
Who gives a shit?
John Randolph as Captain Ross. Rene Auberjois as Roy Begley.
Auberjois.
You have no idea who he is, do you?
No, I don't.
He was on Benson. He was on Deep Space Nine. He's been in a whole lot of shit, but he's usually playing a much more snooty character than this guy.
Okay.
Ed Lauter as First Mate Carnahan, Julius Harris as Crewman Bowen, Jack O'Halloran as Joe Perko. He was in Superman and Superman 2 as Nog. Dennis Fimple as Sunfish, George Moreno as Garcia, Mario Gallo as Timmons, John Leon as Chinese cook. I didn't even notice a Chinese cook. So we do have a Chinese cook, like in the original. But I guess he's not. Well, they don't make a big deal of him, and he's not the real hero of the movie like in the original.
Yeah. Which is sad because I really like that guy.
Yeah. John Agar as city official. Yes, Charlie. Sid Conrad as Petrox chairman. Kenny Long as Ape Mask Man.
Ape Mask Man.
Gary Wahlberg as Army General. George Whiteman as Army helicopter pilot. Wayne Heffley as Air Force Colonel. Corbin Burnson as reporter number 1, uncredited, because he wasn't Corbin Burnson yet. He was just some dude. Joe Piscopo as reporter number 2, also uncredited. Joe Piscopo used to be on Saturday Night Live in the 80s. Nice. Walt Gorney as subway driver, uncredited. Rick Baker as King Kong, suit performance, uncredited. Peter Cullen as the voice of Kong, uncredited. So they didn't give him a credit, but they gave this weird credit at the end, thanking the people that built the mechanical parts of Kong. What are you doing?
This hair keeps attacking me. Sorry.
So in this, instead of stop motion, in this one, we get a combination of a guy in a monkey suit. Sorry, ape suit. And a giant mechanical hand.
Which was well done.
Yeah. And I believe they built a giant head for some of the close-up
I thought it
stuff.
looked great. In comparison to the first movie,
Uh-huh.
it looks amazing, don't you think? A lot of angry
It
eyebrows,
does.
but
It
it looks great.
It does. I saw this movie in the theater when it came out. So I saw this one before the original. It has a...
This was your original.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the original existed.
Sure.
I knew I'd seen enough clips to know that it was originally Empire State Building, but now it's the World Trade Center because at the time that was the tallest building. When the original, the Empire State Building was the tallest building in the world. At the time this one was made, the Twin Towers were the tallest buildings in the world.
Wah, wah.
There was a sequel to this in 1986, 10 years later, called King Kong Lives, which we will get to when we get to. You look angry about that.
I'm not angry. I'm just like, why?
Why wait 10 years?
Yeah.
And it takes place 10 years later.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
But it's
At least there's that.
just weird. It's weird. They make a lot of changes to the plot, and yet the plot is... Well, they make a lot of changes to the details of the plot.
But it's the same.
But it's the same.
Yeah.
We get some moments that are almost exactly the same. But then other things that I'm like, why did you... Like the names. Why did you change the names? What was the point of that?
I kind of liked that.
It
made it feel new to me.
I remember enjoying this movie at the time, but I was 8 years old.
Sure.
Watching it now, it kind of hurts.
Kind of hurts.
It is 43 years later, and yet the movie is somehow maybe more sexist than the original.
Yeah.
And
It's a little awkward.
It's not
even in times.
It's not more racist, but it's maybe not less racist.
I felt
And
like
it is
was a
possibly
little less
and it was
racist.
possibly more sexist.
Definitely more sexist.
The thing is, Jessica Lange, this is what hurt. Jessica Lange is so beautiful in this movie, and it's her first movie. But she has won and been nominated for so many awards. And some of the characters that she's played on, like recently, like on American Horror Story and stuff like that, are just such incredible, interesting, amazing, complex characters. And to see her playing this dumb bimbo in this movie just made me feel bad. I mean, she in reality is a young actress at the time and just being given a part in this big, huge movie. This is her first film part, and she's the female star of a King Kong
And it's
remake.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
so
movie is huge.
it's a big deal for her, but it cost $24 million. It made $90.6 million, so that's not bad. But it just made me feel bad that she was having to do this kind of shitty part. But it worked out well for her in the end, She went on to do a lot of great stuff. She wasn't stuck doing this shit. But she is just such a dumb bimbo, just even more so than Fay Wray was. And every time she brought up astrology, zodiac shit, I just wanted to vomit. But I'm like, it's 1974. It was just, I just hated it. I hated it. But I think it was also kind of a 70s thing making fun of it. I think because she's a dumb bimbo, we're supposed to think, oh, she's really into astrology. She's a dumb idiot. But it was not that it's not still big, but in the 70s, mood rings and astrology and holdover hippie shit. I don't know. Do you feel the same about any of that?
So I didn't, it wasn't painful for me to watch, right? I was like, I kind of thought it was funny and maybe a little bit annoying at times. What I didn't like about it was just how uncomfortable, like, some moments got. Like, where she's, like, in Kong's hand and he's, like, breathing on her and she's just, like...
She gets a weird...
It gets uncomfortable.
She gets a weird blowjob from Kong. He has rinsed her off.
Yeah.
He's rinsed her off under a waterfall and then is blowing her dry.
Yeah.
But she seems to be responding to it in a sexual
very
manner.
sexual way, yeah.
So this is another big difference. Folks, if you haven't heard our first episode about the original King Kong, maybe go back and listen
Yeah,
to
this is
it.
a good time to revisit that.
Yeah, but in the original, Anne is just terrified of Kong the whole time.
Yeah.
This is where we start seeing Anne being more sympathetic to Kong in this version, and that we get more of that in later versions. I guess we did get a little bit of that in Son of Kong, but it's not Anne. Well, this is neither. It's Dwan. And a little.
And also in Mighty Joe Young, right?
Well, but he's not. That's not Kong, though.
That's true.
It's a totally. It's a
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the Japanese versions. How I think he was kind of the hero in the Japanese versions. But in this one, she's not that scared of him, and there is more of a straight up implication of that there's a romance happening here.
Yeah, which I thought was weird because at first it feels like only the people are talking about it. Like he hasn't done anything to like show that he's like rapey or creepy, and the people just keep saying like that he's like obsessed with her, and it's like, and then finally we start seeing it, but at first it's like, why do people keep saying that he's? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know, but she's kind of she's like, oh, this will never work out. And I'm like, what do you think is going to... He does... I mean, Kong did... The original did this too a little bit. Pawing at her outfit, taking her out. We get some very brief nudity in this one.
Yeah, he does take her outfit like completely off.
Yeah. Well, not completely off, but he takes
top.
out... Yeah, he takes down her top, and then she covers up.
Yeah, we see her titty.
But we also see her getting out of the shower earlier. Let's get to the plot, and then we'll get to that shit as we come to it.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, there's like a 3-minute scene of just showing her being pretty around the boat. It's just weird.
And it's weird. All the like dudes are like, hey, woo, yeah, look. It's just like, ew. They just all want to like rip her in fucking half on this ship.
They're both leering, but they're also being very respectful at the same time. They're all bringing her clothes and things, and
yeah, but it's the way that she's like.
She does flaunt it, and maybe she should cover up. I'm putting the blame on her. I shouldn't be, but you're on a boat full of guys who knows how long. Well, they haven't been at sea that long, but still,
it doesn't.
You maybe want to be discreet.
I don't know. It's just awkward.
Yeah,
it's a little awkward.
Here's the plot from Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. So it was a weird start. In the 1970s, Fred Wilson, I don't know why it starts out that way. Just because to make clear that's not in the 1930s.
I guess so.
In the 1970s, Fred Wilson, an executive of the Petrox Oil Company, forms an expedition based on infrared imagery which reveals a previously undiscovered Indian Ocean island hidden by a permanent cloud bank. So already we have a change here that they're not looking for Kong. They're not making a movie. It's an oil company.
Yeah.
But this is a very 70s thing. There was an oil crisis in the 70s, an oil shortage, gasoline shortage. There was also, I think, first beginning to be concerns about environmental concerns about oil companies. So this is a very 70s thing to change it to an oil company. But yeah, he's not looking for Kong. He's looking for oil. Wilson believes the island has a huge deposit of oil. Jack Prescott, a primate paleontologist,
AKA a dirty hippie.
yes, sneaks onto the expedition's vessel and attempts to warn the team against traveling to the island, citing an ominous final message about the roar of the greatest beast from previous doomed explorers. He also mentions a thing about some sailor who wrote a message about God have mercy on the bride of the beast. I don't remember the exact line, but
and in that he calls it the Island of the Skull.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Yeah. But they don't call it Skull Island at any point in the rest of the movie, and I don't think we see a skull-like shape because they couldn't be bothered. Anyway, Wilson orders Prescott locked up. This was interesting. When they're loading up the boat and giving us some exposition, and Jack is getting out of a cab, and is acting like he's drunk and pulls out his ID in front of the guard and drops a wad of money on the ground. And the guard doesn't tell him. He puts his foot on it and he's like, okay, go. And I'm like, well, what an asshole. But then it turns out that he did that on purpose. He's not drunk. He did that on purpose because he's trying to sneak onto the boat. So he wants the guard to be distracted by the money and not look at his ID and let him in. So that was actually kind of clever.
Yeah, it really was.
But somehow nobody sees him jumping onto the boat, even though there's some dudes right there. They just have their back turned. Anyway, so Wilson Fred, he thinks he's an industrial spy from another oil company and doesn't believe him. So he has him locked up. Wilson eventually makes Prescott the expedition's photographer. So he eventually gets some confirmation of who he is over the fax machine or whatever. The ship happens upon a life raft, which carries the beautiful and unconscious Dwan. They do hear a distress call at one point earlier. We hear them talking about this, but they can't find it. We heard it and then it went away. So when we find her, we realize, okay, that's
where the call's coming from.
Upon waking, Dwan tells Prescott that she is an aspiring actress who was aboard a director's yacht, which suddenly exploded. They never really explained that. During the rest of the ship's voyage, Prescott and Dwan become attracted to each other. The rescue of her is just so weird. There is a little bit of one of the guys wants to, I've got first aid skills, I should examine her. And they're like, I guess you're going to have to take her clothes off for that, huh? He's like, well, I got to make sure she's not, but like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But
was there an undress her joke?
Yes, there was. Throughout most of this movie, Jessica Lange is basically doing a Marilyn Monroe impersonation.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yes, that was my assessment. Yes, she wasn't imitating Fay Wray, she was imitating Marilyn Monroe, or the image of Marilyn Monroe. She mentions that her life was saved by a movie. The reason she was on the deck and survived the explosion is because she was on this yacht with some producer who was offering, or director who was offering her a part in the movie. And he was showing a movie below decks to the rest of the guests, which was Deep Throat. Yeah,
I was like, whose life was saved by Deep Throat?
So not by the film Deep Throat. Okay. Not by the act of.
Yeah, I thought.
Are you familiar with this movie?
No.
Have you heard of it? It's a famous pornographic movie from the 70s. In that, for some reason, I don't know the whole history of it, but Linda Lovelace was the star. Okay. And this was back when you had to actually go to a movie theater. If you didn't have a home projector and a little 8mm projector,
awesome.
You went to a movie theater to watch pornography. What? And for some reason, this particular film got national exposure. Everybody heard about it. Everybody was talking about it.
And was it Deep Throat film?
The title of the film was Deep Throat.
Wow.
We don't need to go into the plot of the film and why it's called that. There's a specific reason why it's called that. But Linda Lovelace became very famous because of this movie. There's been a movie made about her and, a biopic made about her. So everybody would have understood what this was a reference to. So basically, he was showing everybody a porno, the famous porno that everybody's heard of, and she didn't want to watch it. So she went up on the deck, and somehow the ship exploded, but she was thrown clear because she wasn't down there watching the movie with the rest of them.
Yeah, I thought that's what it said, but I was like, surely there was like lifeboat.
No.
Not Deep Throat.
No, she did.
She did say Deep Throat. Because I even put question marks like, what?
Yes. I had a feeling you were not going to understand what that was.
I did not. Thank you for explaining. Then she's like, maybe my look has changed. And there's this montage of them doing boat shit. And falling in love.
So she was just in this sort of sexy cocktail dress in the lifeboat. So we do get some scenes of the crew donating clothes, spare shirts, and she's wearing somebody's khaki pants rolled up. And we get 3 to 5 minutes of her just being pretty on and around different parts of the boat while this string quartet plays soft music and everybody on the boat is falling in love with her.
Yeah.
Even to an extent, Fred, who specifically says, hey, I'm a married man.
You're like, oh, maybe just a
So I'll just look. I'm just
the
gonna.
tip.
Yeah. But Prescott was the one who spotted her. So
Saved
she's
her,
particularly thankful to him because he was the one that spotted the...
And he also is a god.
He's the best looking one.
Yeah.
He's the best looking guy on this
He's
ship.
gorgeous.
He's a dirty hippie. Jeff Bridges is a nice looking guy.
He is a nice looking guy. I was like, wow, I am attracted to this man.
Yeah, you've seen him and stuff. He's an old man now, but he's still
Yeah, he probably
holding up
looks
well.
even better now.
He's holding up well. Did you see the most recent Tron? He's
Yeah.
been in stuff more recently than that, but
Yeah, because that was like a while back. That was like 2000 what?
I don't
11 or
I
some
don't
shit?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a while back.
Upon arriving at the island, the team discovers a primitive
Oh, wait.
tribe. Well, yes.
Spicy shower scene.
Oh
We
yeah.
get
So
the spicy shower
during this
scene.
montage, we do see
Dawn get out.
her through. You
of the
know,
lawn.
we see her silhouette through the glass of the shower, and then she gets out and puts the towel on. But it was completely gratuitous.
We see like a little
70s.
bit of side butt.
Yeah, because it's the 70s and it's a PG movie, so there's got to be a little bit of skin. Upon arriving at the island, the team discovers a primitive tribe of indigenous peoples who live within the confines of a gigantic wall built to protect them from a mysterious god known as Kong. When they first see it, well, they don't want there to be any people on this island because they're planning to just take all its resources. And what's his name? Charles Grodin is just like, this is an ancient ruin.
There's no people here.
And Jack is like, no, it was like, well, maybe it was built a long time ago, but it was fixed within the last 6 months. Look at this fresh mud here and everything. And he's like, no, you're full of shit. There's no people here. And then we immediately hear drums. And it's just like, wah, wah. So this part is very much like the original movie in that they come and see the natives having the Bride of Kong ceremony and the big wall keeping Kong out. The team finds that while there is a large deposit of oil, it is of such low quality that it's unusable. Well, they don't actually find that part out later, until a little bit later. The natives kidnap Dwan, drug her, and offer her as a sacrifice to Kong. So this is also like... This whole scene is almost just like the original movie. In that they're having the ceremony. It's interrupted by the white guys. They see the white woman. The chief wants to trade six of his...
White woman for one,
He wants to trade 6 of his women for her. They say no.
But they can't really communicate with them in this one, right? Because he's just like,
In the original, the captain was actually translating.
Yeah, but in this one, no.
In this one, Jack is just intuiting.
Guessing.
Yeah. He's intuiting what they mean, but he doesn't know their actual individual words.
But they do chant Kong, Kong,
Yes,
Kong.
yes. And he seems to have some vague idea. Well, he talked about the various historical things he'd found out about this island. Some friend tipped him off that they were going to that island. That's why he stowed away. But anyway, they go back to they scare off the natives with their guns, go back to the boat, and the natives come kidnap her off the boat. All of that is almost just like... But in the original, there wasn't quite so blatantly, hey, why don't you meet me in your room later and we can bone?
She was like very like Jack and Rose, like take me to the middle of the boat and bang me in a car somewhere.
Jack's plan. She's just hanging. So at the bottom of there's the steps that lead from the deck down to the water, where their little rowboats to go to the island from the main ship are. And there's a little platform they put there. And she's just hanging out down there like a dummy. And Jack comes down. He's going to steal a boat and go back to the island to do some primate paleontology shit. And she's like, oh, really? I was hoping we could bone later. And he's like, well... I might have enough time to do you before I steal this boat, so let me go
freshen up.
Let me go finish stealing some more supplies, and then I'll meet you in my room, in your room.
Back down here at the bottom of these stairs.
No, he says, I'll be disappointed if you're here when I come back. And she's like, what? He's like, because I'm hoping you'll be waiting for me in my room, or your room, or whichever. Anyway, he goes. Natives come by and yoink. Jack comes back with the stolen supplies, and
She has ripped the necklace
yes.
off of one of the yoinkers.
yeah, realizes that there's a necklace there and figures out what's happened.
Do they drug Dawn up? Because
Yeah, we don't see it, but she has clearly been drugged.
Yeah.
And it's possible that the original intended bride has also been drugged to keep her calm because she knows.
that she's gonna.
Yeah, she knows what's going to happen. Well, we never do find out what any
What
of the
actually
Kongs.
happens.
We never find out what any of the Kongs do with their so-called brides. We don't know.
But
I still like to think they're all living in their own tribe on the other side of the wall.
it's insinuated that it's not a good thing, and that it's a little rapey.
Well, but he's too big for that to have any.
Yeah, that's what you would think.
He
but
might
it's
just.
Still,
He might
they
just
still
eat
act
them.
like
He might just eat them. He might just use them as dolls. He might pop their heads off and drink their blood. We don't know.
he really don't.
But I like to think that he plays with them for a while, lets them, and gets bored, and
Like
they go
Barbies.
and they go off and form their own little tribe outside the wall and fight dinosaurs. No dinosaurs in this version. There's a giant snake,
There's a giant snake.
but there's no dinosaurs, which is the lame. But also, it does make more sense because, as I said in the past, the discovery of dinosaurs is really more important than the discovery of Kong. Let's see.
Yeah, so they're like marching Dwan up to
Yeah.
Kong to sacrifice, and she's just like yeah.
The
got all
natives,
drugs.
the natives kidnap Dwan, drug her, and offer her as a sacrifice to Kong. A monumental ape grabs Dawn from the altar and departs back into the jungle.
The sounds of the trees breaking
Uh-huh.
and like Kong sniffing before you see him is like gold. It's really good. Because they just show you like little camera views, like they just show like his eyes, you know,
Yeah.
and then it's like more trees breaking, and like him like, and then like they show like his feet. It just like shows him in pieces, and I really liked that. I thought it was really great.
Although an awesome and terrifying sight, the soft-hearted Kong quickly becomes tamed by Dwan, whose rambling monologue calms and fascinates the monstrous beast. After she falls in the mud, Kong takes Dwan back to a waterfall to wash herself and then uses great gusts of his warm breath to dry her.
This is the blowjob we were talking
Yeah,
about.
she's very
And she's like, oh,
moving around very
yeah.
sensually.
Ooh.
Yes, it's bizarre.
That's really weird.
Because she should be going, oh my God, that
Your
breath.
breath. So stinky.
In the meantime, Prescott and it's so funny though the way his cheeks puff out.
It is really funny.
I don't know if at this point if it's the giant head or they just put something in the mask that the human is wearing, but his cheeks really puff out like Dizzy Gillespie size.
It's really goofy. But then like also at one point she calls him a chauvinist pig, and I was like, what the hell, dog?
He's an ape.
And what makes him a chauvinist?
I don't know. Because he thinks he can just.
She's like, choke on me, eat me, and choke on me, you chauvinist pig. And I was like, whoa, Dwan, where is this coming from?
In the meantime, Prescott and First Mate Carnahan lead a rescue mission to save Dwan. The rescue party encounters Kong while crossing a log bridge over a ravine, and Kong rolls the huge log, sending Carnahan and the rest of the sailors falling to their deaths.
That was pretty cool. Like, I like how you individually picked
Yeah.
picked them off one by one
Yeah.
on the log.
But this is another case of bad math. They lose, 4 or 5 guys trying to rescue one woman?
Yep.
Prescott and Bowen are the only ones to survive. Prescott manages to jump off the Kong side of the log, and the other guy jumps off the far side. Kong takes Dwan to his lair. A giant snake appears and attacks the pair, and while Kong dispatches the snake, Prescott escapes with Dwan. Kong chases the pair back to the native village, only to fall into a pit trap and be smothered with chloroform. So they left out a little bit here. Charles Grodin, Fred, when he realizes that the oil's no good, he has told the company already. He's staked his whole career on this. And he's told the company, oh yeah, there's definitely oil here. It's going to be just the biggest ever. When it turns out the oil's not good, he gets the idea that I'll kidnap Kong and take him back and sort of make him a mascot for the company, and that'll be worth money. He compares it to Exxon saying, we'll put a tiger in your tank. That was an old ad campaign they had. We'll put Kong in your tank? I don't know. We'll put a giant gorilla in your tank. So he orders an airdrop of some supplies, including big barrels of chloroform, which apparently the oil company says, sure.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
We'll send it right down.
I don't-
Where was that Skull Island you said?
Yeah. What did you need it for? Never mind. Don't worry. Without any of the promised new oil, Wilson decides to transport Kong to America as a promotional gimmick for his company.
But we see Dwan topless. She sees Jack.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, Jack! Runs up. He's not even like, why are your titties out? He just takes his shirt off like a gentleman, puts his shirt around her.
Yep.
But we do get some good side boob.
When they finally reach New York City, Kong is put on display in a Beauty and the Beast farce, bound in chains with a large crown on his head. But instead of doing it in a Broadway theater, they're doing it like on the tarmac of an airport or someplace. And they put on this whole, oh my God. So they're sort of reenacting, and it seems to just be a crowd of mostly reporters, though. It seems to be more of a press event than a public event. But I think they're filming it all and taking pictures. They're sort of reenacting her being tied up at the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And they open the wall and wheel out a gigantic gas pump.
Oh, God.
Because this is all, for Petrox. And Fred is doing announcer shit while all this is going on. And then I can't remember how they do it, but the pump goes away and Kong is inside in a lame-ass cage with a giant crown on his head. I don't know how they got him in.
I know. I was like, how did they get the crown?
How did they get him in there? How did they get the crown on him? How did they get to stay on him?
And then why does she say in this, she's like, hey, Kong, remember me? Your blind date.
I know, that's so weird.
What?
Was that on the boat? There's a point on the boat where Kong is flipping out.
Oh, I think that is.
And the captain of the boat decides he's going to just have to drown him before he sinks the boat. And Dwan decides to
save him,
to calm him down. Yeah, she is so grateful for him killing the snake that doesn't care about the 4 or 5 guys that he killed and the natives that he apparently regularly kills. And at one point, there's this weird thing before they get to New York. Fred is like, so, you 2 kids thinking about getting married?
Oh, God, this is so awkward.
And she's like, oh, what do you say, Jack? And Jack's kind of like, maybe. Well, I think Jack has a hesitation because he thinks that she wants stuff that he can't give her. He thinks she's a vapid gold digger. He's kind of in love with her, but he also thinks, I'm just an adjunct professor. I can't give her the furs and diamonds and the shit that she wants. So he's hesitant to say, sure, let's get married, person I met a week ago. But they're on movie time. They're on movie time.
For sure. I thought it was like he was in love with her, but he was like, is she a dumb bimbo?
Right.
Or
is this love or just lust?
Yeah, is this love or is like she? Because there's one point where before they go to New York, where the 3 of them are talking.
Yeah.
The bad guy and the
Fred,
the oil guy, Fred, and the 2 of them, and she's like, basically. Jack is saying, like, we need to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And then Fred tells her, if you leave, you'll never book anything else again. You have to, basically. And so I felt like it wasn't that he was
that's
couldn't give
when
her
they're
something.
That's when they're in New York.
Oh, okay.
But at this part where he's saying, are they going to get married? He's asking, he's like, maybe there's some way we could get Kong to officiate or give away the bride, give away the bride. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, that's a dumb idea. Yeah. But then at that point, he's like, Jack's being hesitant. He's like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. Right. This is bad. And she's like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, hey, he tried to rape you.
Yeah. I was like, what?
And she's like, no. And he's like, look, honey, he tried to rape you. And I'm like, What?
I know.
No, he kidnapped her.
Yeah.
He did disrobe her.
And then a little bit later, he even says, I think that ape had the right idea. And I was like,
Yeah.
he's going to rape her? Like, what do you mean? Why would you say that?
Did
like,
Jack said that?
No, Fred.
Fred said that because Jack also says something about Kong having the right or something.
Ew.
Just that. Hey, you're hot. I like Kong. I also find you attractive.
Gross.
But Kong at no point displayed
No.
an erection and put it anywhere near her. So it's just a weird thing to say.
Yeah, it's super, super weird.
And it would not have been physically possible.
Right. Yeah, I thought Jack it wasn't like, oh, I can't give you the things. It was like, I don't know if you're genuine, you're a good person or not. And I felt like it was because of those like few small
There's that too. So anyway, they eventually get back to New York and then they're doing the whole thing. And the reporters, for some reason, just start running up the steps to where she's tied up.
Quote, unquote. Mm-hmm.
And start taking pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know this is. They're very unprofessional reporters. They're putting on a show, and they just start running in onto the set, taking pictures. And Jack's like, "No, wait, that's."
Yeah, you're gonna. He's gonna think. Don't push her around.
So, but this is what you were talking about. Though. Jack was supposed to be part of this show, and he's like, "Nope, I'm not going to do it." He's like, "Where's your tuxedo?" What? He's like, "I can't do it. I'm not going to do it."
Yeah.
And he's like, well, give me back the money. He said, I donated your name to the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Kong or something. The SPCA's free Kong fund or some shit. And he's like, sue me. And yeah, Dwan has second thoughts, but he tells her, I'll make sure you never work in this town again.
Yeah.
Because he's a dick like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, the reporters, it freaks Kong out. So Jack's still hanging around watching. And he's like, no, wait, Kong's gonna Kong starts freaking out. And Fred's like,
smashing people.
Fred's doing like, do not worry, folks. That cage is unbreakable. And he instantly breaks it. 100% escape proof. And he starts tearing shit up.
Stomping through the city, stomping on people, throwing people around.
Breaks free of his bonds and goes on a rampage throughout the city. In the commotion, Wilson is killed when Kong steps on him.
Smash.
We don't get to see him squish or blood coming out of his from beneath his feet or anything like that. But yeah, he's clearly gets stepped on. Mm-hmm. So that's a change. Denham does not get killed in the original version.
Yeah.
The ape also destroys an elevated train in his search for Dwan.
Trains and power lines. Classic.
Prescott and Dwan flee across the Queensboro Bridge to Manhattan while Kong pursues them. Prescott calls the military, and in return for a promise that Kong will be captured, because he's on like a public payphone, and I guess the Yellow Pages just list the military.
Yes, get me the military.
You see, folks, there was a time when there were public payphones everywhere, and they would have a copy of the directory, the television. You used to have to look up numbers in a book. The white pages were for residential numbers, and the yellow pages were business numbers. And government agencies might be on those, or they might be on blue pages. I don't know. Anyway, he just looked up the military and called them.
Oh my gosh, when Kong sees the like potential Dawn, like picks her up, but it's like not actually Dawn, he just like chunks her. Like, he's like, Dawn? Nah. The girl's just like, ah!
I think I missed that part.
What?
Well, I was having internet issues, and I had to watch it on my phone.
Oh yeah, dude.
For some reason, I don't have a physical copy of this movie. I have a digital copy.
I'm surprised.
And we had I think it was pretty cheap on Vudu or whatever. And so, but now I need to get a physical copy just for backup. Anyway, I ended up having to watch most of it on my phone, so I might have missed that part.
Dang. Well, there's like a little blonde girl in like a similar gown. It's a little bit longer.
Right.
And she's faced away from Kong, and he's like, oh, like he sees her and he like walks over, he picks her up, turns her around. It's not Dawn, he just throws her.
But they do this. There's this whole weird part though when they get to Manhattan and they're trying to run away, and Dwan's just like, Jack, buy me a drink. He's like, what? Come on, buy me a drink, because she's such a goddamn dumb bimbo. She convinces him to go into a bar, and the military has announced that looters will be shot. They go into an abandoned bar. She picks up some fur coat that some poor patron has left because they ran away from the rampaging ape. They get some drinks and they just waste a bunch of time hanging out in this bar. But apparently Kong's sense of smell is so good that he finds her and reaches through the door of the bar and grabs her. And while Prescott's on the phone, so when Jack sees the Twin Towers, he's like, and the moon, he's like, that scene looks familiar. And then later he realizes there was some natural formations on Kong's island near his lair that looked similar from that angle.
Yeah, that was.
So he deduces that Kong is going to head to the World Trade Center. And this is what he tells the military. If they promise, I'll tell you where he's going if you promise not to kill him. Just get a net and drop it on him. Kong locates Dwan and takes her. He begins to make his way to the World Trade Center with Jack and the military in hot pursuit. In the climax, Kong climbs the south tower of the World Trade Center. After being attacked by men with flamethrowers while standing on the roof. Look, it takes a while.
It takes a while
To get to the top of the World Trade Center.
At the beginning of this kind of like moment where I'm like, okay, we're going to get the moment. There was still like 25 minutes left of the movie.
No, I mean in reality, the soldiers got to the top of the World Trade Center, I think, faster than they maybe could have. And so does Jack get up there too?
Yeah, he does, but he's in the other building.
Yeah.
So he's watching
Dumb.
from the other building in a wind, like from the
So
window.
when it was still there, I've been not all the way to the top, but to some depending on the weather, the observation deck on the actual top might be closed. So I went up as high as you could go that day. So I've been near the top of the World Trade Center. I'm just saying, it's quite a bit of an elevator ride.
Yeah.
I guess the military guys didn't have to wait in line, though.
Yeah,
The building was empty, so they just zipped right up. Anyway, they get up there with flamethrowers and start attacking Kong. So he leaps across to the North Tower. Then he is attacked by military helicopters while Dawn is trying to stop them.
Which you know what it is. Kong and the helicopters.
Yeah.
Swat, swat, swat.
Though I think he only knocks down one of them.
Only one.
Because the original Kong took out, 3 or 4 planes? These guys just fill him full of lead. He seems to me to die faster than the original Kong did.
And it's a little more bloody.
Yeah, and it's much darker too. So
And Dawn's like, no, hold on to me. They're going to kill you.
Yeah.
I love you. I want to be with you anyway.
the fatally injured Kong falls from the roof. So first he lays down dead on the roof. It's been a long time since I had seen it, so I was like, well, that's weird. I don't remember it. But then he kind of rolls off the roof and falls all the way down to land on the ground. Falls from the roof to the World Trade Center Plaza where he dies from his injuries. Or does he? Because in 10 years we'll find out that he was only mostly dead. Dwan is bombarded by a sea of photographers because she has gotten down to the bottom really quickly.
Very, very quickly.
She and Jack both are down there. The crowd is so big, though, that Dwan can't even get close to Jack. She stands still and is photographed relentlessly by reporters while Kong lies dead in a pool of blood and broken concrete. So this ending is a bit different in that, well, there's no denim saying there, no, 'twas beauty killed the beast.
We do get some beauty beast stuff, but it's not exactly that line, and it's just kind of thrown in there a little bit.
But the weird thing is, so Jack had already had this hesitation about them being a couple because their life goals were different. And at this moment, she's near Kong, but she's yelling out for Jack. And he's trying to get to her. And all the photographers, they're not photographing the dead giant ape. They're photographing the crying hot babe. And Jack's trying to get to her and then stops trying to get to her. And just watches the photographers taking pictures of her. And seems to make this decision to let her go. It's kind of like he's like, oh, this is the fame that she wanted. Even though she's not wanting it at that moment and she's not enjoying it. But Jack kind of steps back and seems to make a decision to let go because he knows now she's going to be famous and be beyond him. I
thought they eventually got to each other.
No, it pulls back with the reporters crowded around her, taking flashes of her, and Kong just dead in the background. And most of the reporters are ignoring Kong and taking pictures of her. No, he doesn't get to her. He stops trying to get to her and just watches her become world famous in this moment. So it's more grim than the original, because Jack and Dwan, Jack and Fay Ray, and Darrow do seem to end up together at the end, and it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen with this Jack and Dwan.
Dang. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. I mean, it's sad that Kong dies, but I think it's also sad that the humans don't get any. I mean, maybe that's the point they're trying to make, because in the original, well, we killed this possibly one of a kind giant ape, but at least we get to be together, and Denim is kind of off the hook, and we find out in Son of Kong he's not completely off the hook. But I guess what I'm saying is that there's consequences for the humans in this one when there really aren't in the original. They don't get to be happy after having done this to Kong. So there you go.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I thought it was so much better than the original, and even with that being said, it was good. I really liked it a lot better. There were things I liked about it. I really enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed watching the movie. I can see why it's like a big movie. Why, and it was really good, but I just still, it's like maybe like 3 stars from me. Like, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm not sure I actually liked it better, especially because it's a remake. I'm not sure it added that much to the original, and was just surprised at how sexist it was so many years later. Hadn't really moved forward as much as I would have expected. So
love your bimbos out there. They need love too.
Bimbos need love too.
Bimbos need love too. And if you don't love your bimbo, I will.
So you say it's not her fault. She's a big dummy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm only going to give it a 3 as well.
Sure.
But yeah, when I was 8 years old, I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, I really felt weird trying to rate this movie after I watched it, because I was like, I liked it so much better than the original. I really do think it's it's probably the best remake that I've ever seen. I just think it's way better, but I still just didn't really like it that much. I did enjoy it. I definitely recommend it. I think everyone should watch it, especially going into the today's Kong Godzilla stuff. But
Now, the poster for this movie showed Kong astride the World Trade Centers, like 1 foot on one tower and the other foot on the other tower. It made him out to be much bigger. And a film we did a couple weeks ago, Godzilla versus Megalon. It wasn't released in the U.S. until like 1979. And when it was, the movie poster showed Godzilla and Megalon on the 2 towers, one on one tower and one on the other one, very much ripping off the poster for this movie, because they are not anywhere near the World Trade Center at any point in that film.
wow.
But they were just trying to cash in on it. Rip off this movie's promotional materials. So there you go, the film that launched Jessica Lange's career.
Jessica Lange, you so fine, girl.
She was nice to look at in this movie,
but I could
not have talked to her character for more than 5 minutes without losing my mind.
You don't have to. You just blow on her. It's just like an herbal essence commercial. Like,
there you go.
Yes.
There you go. Folks, if you enjoy the show, maybe consider supporting us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/MMFTG.
MMFTG.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook
Twitter.
and Twitter and all the things.
Letterboxd.
We're on Letterboxd as well, yeah. Yeah, follow us on there. Make your own account. You should be on Letterboxd if you're not.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You can rate these movies there as well. That's going to wrap it up for this week, though. So until next time, I have been Precious D.
And I have been Honey Bee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please, don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Woo! Love you, bimbos.
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texicano Folk Rock Punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MMFTG.